Welcome. This is Sessions on Cinema, where I have aspiring filmmakers on, just like myself. Today's guest is a returning guest, Alec Lowry.
Hello there. Hope you're enjoying the show.
Awesome. Glad to have you back, man. Today we're going to be talking about some of the movies that we picked up on the Barnes& and Noble 50% off Criterion sale. So, do you want to start us off with your first movie?
Yeah, sure thing. I have a bit of an amusing story about this one actually. I think you texted me that you mail ordered yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know whenever I do one of these, I just like to go to the physical store, but this time was a little bit weird. Like the one that's nearest to me didn't have like the best selection ever. I like some of the films that I was hoping to find they didn't have. But then on the other hand, I did actually pick up a couple films from that one. Because I was like, you know what, these are still worth picking up. I'll get them.
Yeah.
And then I tried two other Barnes and Nobles just this morning. One of them straight up did not have a DVD or Blu-ray aisle for some reason.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
I don't know I don't know what's happening over there.
I mean, that's why I tend to buy my orders online now, is
Mm-hmm.
because A, it's a lot easier to process the whole like in-store credit that you get from like accruing value from purchases, but
Right.
also it's the selections, at least nearby, have been terrible to literally, just like you were saying, they just don't have Criterion sections anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I did try one other one, and I did find something. I did find something I was looking for.
Okay, cool.
It's the thrill of the hunt. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then so yeah, I got some criterions, and I actually have a couple of extra things, just a couple of extra things. They're not criterion, but I was like, you know what? They're discounted. I love these movies. I might as well get them.
Hmm.
We'll get to them and get there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, first up on the block, do the right thing.
Oh, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Yeah. Oh my God. Great film.
Mm-hmm. Amazing film. I still think it's one of the I like it's not Spike Lee's first movie,
No.
of course, but it's the one that pretty much the one that launched his career, making him the famous director he is now for very good reason. I think that's like I've watched a good handful of films that tackle the subject of race discrimination, of what life is like for those things, and I mean I like obviously don't take my word for gospel because clearly I'm not in that minority. But as far as something that really does a great job at capturing some of the nuances of that whole issue, right, in ways that a lot of movies just don't.
Yeah.
It's still unmatched. Like the first time I watched this, it was like a week after George Floyd was killed.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
It
the
becomes even more timely because of that. Yeah.
Mhm. Which is like the craziest thing about watching that movie in that context was I was actually thinking about watching another movie, but then I'm like, you know what, this movie seems timely. Let's give it a shot. Holy shit, man! I know like the movie is obviously was obviously shot in the late '80s. You could tell from the fashion, the from the style, all that stuff. But at the same time, like the events of the film, the message of the film, I just the entire experience of the film, I felt as I felt just as recent as that aforementioned tragedy. It was kind of shocking.
Yeah.
It's like how shocking this film is, how relevant this film still is. Well, like despite it being a very '80s movie, and in a lot of ways, it's still I like it's almost like peripheral at this point.
Hmm.
Like there are a lot of movies where the data like those sort of dated elements kind of I mean I don't know if I want to say distract, but they definitely become an aspect of the film where this one just kind of transcended that. It's just an incredible film.
Yeah. I felt like one of my favorite things about the film is that it truly does what, like, I think great films aspire to do, which is to rather than like answer questions, it more raises them.
Hmm.
And the although it may seem like the title is like an answer, to do the right thing in a situation, in a world where we're all just filled with so much like hatred towards one another. What like the only right thing to do is to do the right thing,
Mhm.
um, which in itself is not a solution. To do the right thing, what does that mean? It has its own individual meaning to every single person, but it doesn't really give us a concrete answer as to what the right thing is, which again, it raises those questions, is absolutely timeless, I think, like you were saying.
But then, kind of an interesting. I like this is kind of an interesting thing that I was pondering. Films like this are timeless because all the well, mostly because all of the societal problems and systemic problems that it's tackling are still just as bad as when the movie first came out.
Yeah,
So so I mean, I mean, it's great that the movie can still connect to a new generation, but it's also a sign that we have some work to do.
yeah. Great movie. Glad you
Mhm.
also picked it up. This is another one where I just was like, it's been on my to buy list for ages now, and I just had to pick it up.
Green Book Criterion when? Just kidding. I don't want that. I don't want a Criterion for that. Like the movie, I thought the movie was competent, but
Yeah.
competent and had good moments, but it's not as good as this,
No,
unfortunately.
yeah. Anyway, I'll go into my first pick.
Alrighty.
This is a movie that you and I have seen together. I'm wondering if you can
Hmm.
guess the movie,
Okay.
Triangle of Sadness.
Oh, I was thinking about buying that one too.
Hmm.
I wasn't I was on the fence about picking that one up, but yeah, like even like on the way back, I was like, maybe I should have saved some money and gotten that one. Yeah,
I know
that.
you can, you know, from our experience in the theater that I was cackling out loud for the
Oh,
majority of this movie.
oh yeah,
Um,
I was dying during
yeah.
some portions of
Oh
that
my
one. That
God,
movie,
it's so
it's
funny. It only
terrible.
gets funnier as it goes on. Man, what a great like social satire.
Hmm.
It basically just like shows that like it's almost nihilistic in the way that like we're all kind of fucked because of the class divide, and that even when you try to uh be above that, you're still full of shit. Like everybody in this fucking movie is so full of shit.
Hmm.
And but I think where the movie really shines is in that little glimpse of hope at the end, which
Oh
is a
yeah.
little ambiguous, but it's that sort of theme that the poor, that women, that minorities, that they have some sort of hope in this world by coming together with other people that share those sorts of grouping with them, and can raise above some sort of classist structure, can
Mhm.
hope to gain some sort of advantage within it. Yeah, no, it's great. The biggest thing for me is that it's also like extremely well shot. Ruben
Mhm.
Östlund constantly blows me away, especially with his last film, The Square. Um,
Mhm. Still need to see that one.
yeah, it's excellent. I would definitely recommend it. That and Force Majeure are really good. But yeah, that Triangle of Sadness might be my favorite of his works to date. And yeah, it's just a great movie. Had a blast watching it, and had a blast watching it with
Mhm.
you.
We saw it in the theater together with one of our other friends, one of our other old friends,
Yeah,
and seeing that movie in the theater was it was like I said, that movie is hysterically funny.
yeah.
But then it's also very also I mean like also I mean pretty unconventional kind of comedy as well. Like for like a general audience who's used to watching like regular Hollywood comedies, like don't expect it to be like fast paced. It's 2.5 hours long, very I mean, surprisingly slow pace for a comedy that, but then it somehow manages to keep that comedic momentum going.
Yeah.
Some great situational comedy, even some great character nuance as well.
And it's fun that we watched it with not only our friend but also my mother, and
Oh yeah.
both of them were not as, I think, like initiated with like more like non-traditional comedies like you and I are. And
Right.
so they were very like I could tell that they were not laughing at all during the majority of the first half of the movie, but
Hmm.
as soon as it got to the boat scene,
Don't spoil it. Don't
yeah,
spoil it.
no spoiling, but it was even they were finding themselves like rolling over laughing, which I was glad to see. Anyway, man, you want to go into your second pick?
Sure. Okay, so this one is kind of a semi-blind pick. I haven't
Hmm.
actually watched this movie yet. I've
Okay.
done it. I've done it with the Criterion sale before. Just go in. I'm see, like this is a movie I've heard lots of good things about.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up. And then this one has some faith in because I actually do own a copy of one of his other movies just on a DVD, probably a bootleg, which is probably. I mean, I don't know if I could call it a bootleg because I think his films are public domain.
Hmm.
Little Charlie Chaplin, Modern Times.
Oh, okay. Now that's one I also have not seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I've heard only great things about it, and I've seen its influence on film uh, history.
So yeah, this movie looked really good from the couple of clips I've seen of it online. Like the what was it the one where he roller skates near a ledge and like very nearly like has to go
Mhm.
back or something like that. That scene was pretty funny. And was it? I think this is the right one. Was it the one where he's working in the factory and then gets all and then winds up within the gears of the machine he's working on?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was from this movie. I say, yeah, I have some high hopes for this movie. And the other movie I had was The Gold Rush.
Hmm.
That have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
You should. It's also a very funny movie.
Okay.
If you're ever interested in watching more silent movies, I start with this guy. He's I'm one of the earlier masters of physical comedy.
Yeah.
Back when funny dialogue wasn't really a thing.
I've seen one of his films. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of it. But it's the one where he Charlie Chaplin plays Hitler, and uh,
Mm. Oh
you
yeah,
know
The
that
Great Dictator.
The Great Dictator. That's it.
See. I thought about that one too, but and haven't seen that one either. But that movie looks like fun too. It's like I think that's the one yeah that one he where he lampoons Nazi Germany, and then he like what was it? It's not like he like has a different name, and then his Hitler parody is some goofy shit.
There's a scene that's him throwing like a ball of the world up in the air
Oh
and
yeah,
like
that
a
one. That's the
balloon.
one.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of the more like beautiful scenes in the movie. Um, despite also being satirical. Um, yeah, it was a fun watch. And I definitely am interested in checking out more of Chaplin's career.
Oh
So
yeah, me
let
too.
me know if you end up liking this one.
Yeah, yeah. Check my letterbox. You'll see eventually.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right, your next pick.
Okay, my next pick is gonna be Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah,
Wasn't this like it was? It's like the 3 hour Western movie. Initially was not it did not do well at the box office, but still very critically acclaimed nevertheless.
yeah. So, it's got like a good long history behind the film. It's a
Mhm.
3.5 hour long movie
Yeah, it's a long
that,
movie.
yeah, which that already that like got announced to the public long before it was ever released, which gave it this like air of pretentiousness. And then on top of that, news reportings came out constantly about how the production of the film was going on far too long, and that it was that they were spending an exorbitant amount of money on the film,
Mhm.
that they took like a helicopter to fly in a train engine from like a museum to make
My
it look
God.
period accurate. Yeah, there crazy stuff behind the production of this film. And when it came out, it was absolutely bombed across the board by both
Mhm.
critics and by audience members. Um,
Right.
Even then, it was only so by select screenings. It didn't even get like a huge wide release until much later.
Mm.
And by the time that it got out to the general public, it was already panned completely by everybody. And almost rightfully so,
Mhm.
because for some reason, and I don't know why, but the film had this like terrible like citrine color grading over it, where all of the film was like just washed over by like this gross, ugly yellow. And it honestly made some scenes like not only unbearable to watch, but also like impossible to understand like what you're seeing, because it's like a dark scene on top of like grayish yellow. It's terrible looking movie on top of um the already like bad like reception that it got. But
Mhm.
thankfully, um, we have had a restoration done by Michael Cimino that was years and years after the release of the movie. And honestly, this movie tanked his career. And thankfully, with this restoration, he started to see some more like a critical reappraisal. But yeah, the restoration essentially takes away that like yellow citrine color to it and really makes all the colors pop. And truly, it allows the cinematography that was already there and great to then just like be viewed the way that it was intended to be viewed. And it's magnificently gorgeous. It's truly a like an epic in all sense of the words. Um it absolutely deserves every minute of its runtime, and it shows it to you. Every single like scene has some incredible set piece or has like just some great like incredible like choreography. But besides for being a wonderful, gorgeous looking movie that I think ranks amongst some of the best movies in film history cinematography, but it also has this really great revisionist Western storyline that tells a story of a corrupt West, a West that because like the general premise of it is that um, the government is essentially paying assassins to kill off the poor. And that in itself is already, as you can probably tell, like a very like not only is it based on a real event, but it's already covering a subject matter that is very charged with political undertones. And it's extremely interesting the way that it comments on class and class divisions, but also deals with just this like essence of the Western ideals of like hero culture. Um, it's a great deconstruction of the Western genre, much up there with like Once Upon a Time in the West and The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I think this is like a modern masterpiece, and it definitely I'm on board with the critics that are reevaluating it. I think it's absolutely deserving of reappraisal.
That's like the comeback story of the century right there.
Yeah,
Sounds like.
yeah. Unfortunately, he's not going to receive near the financial success that he could have, but at
Right.
least at least his art is receiving some sort of like reconsideration, and people are seeing it as art rather than just disposable trash.
Yeah, I gotta check that out then.
No, yeah, it's a long watch. You gotta
Yeah.
strap in for it,
Yeah,
but it is
gotta find
absolutely
time
worth
for
the
it.
watch. Yeah, highly recommend
Yeah,
it.
that and the plot sounds pretty cool though. I mean, I guess I can kind of sort of see how why audiences back then didn't get it. Like,
Mhm.
just off your description, like, I like the questionable color filter, sure,
Yeah,
and then the plot being about political corruption, and then how it's like kind of subverting the legend of the Old West. I guess
Yeah,
I would imagine people were like, we want our cool cowboys, we want our cool
exactly. It
outlaws,
is not
we
your
want our
cool cowboy movie.
like
It,
how this isn't the West that we
yeah,
liked.
yeah,
I like people like back then, especially people just did not want to admit that the West was and not as it was in the movies, but still like a negative depiction of the West. I can imagine some people being turned off by that back then.
yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely.
like back then, every new attempt at a Western is deliberately taking shots at some of the more problematic elements. So yeah, I can see why a new audience. I like at this point, I can see why a new audience may connect with it more.
And that's the thing is like a lot of revisionist westerns are designed at their core to also succeed on a Western level, to be
Mm-hmm.
a great Western tale, such as The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. It does give you all of those like cowboy gunslinging moments,
Right.
along with also critiquing them.
Mm-hmm.
And but this movie leans away from the uh, the more mystical mysticism of it and leans more into the realism, and it's great. It's just a great movie.
Okay,
Uh,
my next pick. I mean, between the two of us, we've texted back and forth about it a little bit. And there may be some slight disagreement on this one. Helsu.
Ooh, see, no, I maybe slight disagreement. I still really enjoy Houseu.
Yeah, Helsu is a perfectly normal movie.
Yeah, you could call it
Um,
that.
uh, I know it. Okay, yeah, for real. This movie is one of the most batshit insane movies that you will ever watch ever, and it's great.
Hmm.
It's like I mean, like sure you'll have your schlocky B slasher movies that are just fun because they're kind of silly and don't take themselves too seriously, and then even like half of the fun is just I guess their earnest attempt at doing something that they don't have a lot of experience at. Some of the comedy can derive from that. Well,
Hmm.
like not to put down any filmmakers, right? It's hard. And making something that can be appreciated. I love this hard. But then here is I don't know how to say this director's name, and I'm not gonna try that right now. But this guy literally like probably one of the best ways I could describe it was a Letterboxd review I wrote, which is something along the lines of, okay, so what cool special effects, what kind of cinematic techniques do you think would best I would how do you think would best illustrate your point and tell your story? And then he's like, yes,
Yeah,
it just throws everything at it and had like pretty much every trick of it. Had like pretty much every trick he could think about, and a lot of them are purposefully poorly done.
yeah,
With the entire like literally the entire point is to kind of alienate the audience in some way.
yeah. Like the backgrounds are often these like matte paintings, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't look real, and I don't think they're supposed to.
I like this movie knows exactly what it is.
Hmm.
I like I like there's scenes where it's all slow mo for no reason. There's
Yeah,
this weird detours. Where weird shit happens. One of the girls is eaten by a piano. Some of the backstory for this film is also very interesting. I think yeah the director of this movie was actually a survivor of the nuclear bombings in Japan at the end of World War II. Right, and so I mean, from interviews and other people's takes on the film, those feelings of those feelings, those feelings of shock and horror and confusion, were and some of those things that he had to live through and that newer generations probably couldn't connect with. I mean, there's nothing like experiencing the real thing. Not like I would want to experience something like that. At least one of the reasons he made this film was to kind of give the new generation a sort of like a sort of similar experience to that, to give them the most to give them the most jarring and uncomfortable film and boundary breaking film experiences that you could possibly have.
it's a very bizarre movie. it's crazy and ridiculous. Honestly, I kind of didn't like it on first viewing,
Hmm.
but on repeated viewing, I have grown to appreciate it more, and especially when viewing other films like it. Recently, I watched this film called The Happiness of the Katakuris,
Hmm.
and I found that film to be extremely similar in its absurdity to Hausu, in such so much so that I'm creating like a mental headcanon of like films that feel like Hausu, that I like to call the Japanese extremism. Um, and I think that films like it are trying to convey a sort of mood or tone through just the absolute most extreme boundary pushing ways in the medium. And I really respect it and movies like it for stuff like that, even as much as
Okay.
I'm not fully like enjoying it or fully grasping it. I still think that it's in its abstraction, you can get still gain meaning.
As an aspiring filmmaker, I don't want to just make like the same. I you know the I like I like of course other people like in film school make like pretty good stuff, but like I personally want to explore whatever medium I'm working in. I
Mhm.
to really find like a new and exciting ways of expressing through that medium. A pretty good chunk of my film taste in general really reflects that urge to go after to just go after the imaginative,
Mhm.
the inventive, the creative.
I actually think that that perfectly segues into my next film pick
Mhm.
that I got at the sale. Another film that is also very creative and very like bizarre, one that I have also disliked on first viewing and have only grown to appreciate more and more with each subsequent viewing. That's going to be David Lynch's Blue Velvet.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting movie.
Yeah.
I
Um,
haven't have let's see, I did watch that, did enjoy it. And then I do feel like I owe that one a rewatch though.
I think with almost every single one of David Lynch's movies, I just continue to appreciate them more and more on repeated viewing. This one in particular, what really got me was on each individual viewing, I was looking for a different sort of thing, and most viewings I was looking for something pertaining to the American dream, and I think that's like uh, often taught as like the opening scene and its relation to like American like status quo, and that sort of like idealization with this like darker undertone underneath it. Although I think that opening scene is brilliant, trying to connect that to everything throughout
Mhm.
the movie can almost be exhausting and not always as rewarding as you might want it to be. But what I found personally rewarding was connecting that sort of like dark underbelly, that sort of uh, beetles underneath the perfectly cut grass. I sort of tied that back to its characters, and more specifically its main character, who I thought on first viewing was boring and bland and had no personality. The more I watched, the more I picked up on little details here and there that made it all the more apparent to me that he had some deeper darkness underneath him. For example, the scene when he is hiding in the closet. Why does he watch? You know, is he watching because he's scared for his life, or is he watching out of morbid curiosity because he's never experienced anything like this? Why, when he's threatened by her, is he doing it because again he's threatened. But even though he could overpower her, no, he's decides to go and have some form of sexual encounter with her because that's deeply what he desires. At least I think so. And more and more did I pick up on details like this relating to the main character and his need to be this perfect white picket fence, but then underneath is much darker and sinister than that. And I think the movie's almost visualization of this metaphor is portrayed through its villain. And I think that it's almost like in Eraserhead, how like the child is sort of this visualization for the character's inner torment on parenthood, or how Mulholland Drives, the sort of twinning of the main character is this sort of anxiety of being replaced or being obsolete, or all of these pertain to inner human anxieties in one way or another through deep abstraction and visualization through real imagery throughout the movie or actual characters. And I think in Blue Velvet, its villain is that deep reflection of its inner character, and that sort of dichotomy I found very fascinating on my latest viewing of Blue Velvet, and I could easily watch it again.
Very strange movie. Also one of the better Heineken ads I've seen.
Yes.
The Heineken product, I think, is hilarious.
Yeah, what is it? It was so it's not only got a lot of Heineken ads, but it's also, oh man, there's the line in it which is like,
Like he just straight up says
Heineken,
Heineken,
fuck
Heineken the best
Heineken,
beer.
Pabst Blue Ribbon. Oh my God, it's such a great line. Yeah,
And
you
then
had bonus
uh,
criterions?
oh yeah, so I have a bonus criterion. So
Okay.
this is I did not pick
Okay.
this up during the sale. I just actually picked it up I think like a month ago
Hmm.
on Amazon because I originally had the two DVD editions that this originally consisted of. But I was like, I think I want to upgrade to the Blu-ray, and
Yeah.
then I found it on sale on Amazon. I
Hmm.
had some gift card money laying around, so then I decided to pick up by Brakhage. This is a
Oh, okay. Is that the short film?
short films. This is like a ton of short films on this, so it's volumes 1 and 2 on Blu-ray,
Okay.
and then as opposed to the one disc, or no, I think it was 2 discs on the first DVD edition, and then on the volume 2 had like 5 DVDs or 4 DVDs. This one's just a nice tight 3 Blu-ray discs,
Hmm.
and then none of them had a booklet, so this feels good to have that. Because I bought them used. I had those DVDs used, but yeah, this is a nice upgrade because have you heard of or watched any of Stan Brackage's short
Yeah,
films?
I've watched what's the name of the one where it's got moth wings?
Oh yeah, Mothlight. That's a cool one.
Yeah. I don't understand them. I don't understand their thesis. They seem a bit too experimental for my tastes, but
Okay.
I do find them fascinating in some regard.
Yeah, yeah, these, oh yeah, yeah, I will say a lot of those films do require a little context to understand where he's getting at.
Yeah.
But like like even then, I like myself some Stan Brakhage every now and then. His stuff is like his stuff is like even if I mean I'll admit some of them I don't. I'm not going to say I am a master in or in understanding these films that I'm like, oh, I really get it. It's so deep, man. I'm not like going to go that far with it, but like his films are they're okay. So like for anyone who hasn't watched any of them, this is probably as experimental as it's gonna get. I like some of these films, like some of them where he does like I like some of them consisting of home films that he shot of his family here and there. But then he's best known for his films that he didn't even make with a camera. He purposely scratched the film. In the case of Mothlight, he literally taped a moth wings, like dead moths and leaves onto the film stock.
Hmm.
Uh, and there's some other ones where he put like these. absolutely stunning abstract paintings on on the individual film frames, ranging from a series of films that when watched together is about feature length, probably like an hour and a half at max, to one of his films which is 1 second long or less, or no, not 1 second. It was like 6 seconds. But I just find his films to be incredible, like not even devoid of context, just incredibly mesmerizing, and just unlike anything else that has ever been made
Yeah,
ever. I just find them incredibly fascinating. It's happy to have them in higher quality.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you're curious about Stan Brakhage, you wanna just, I mean, even if you don't totally understand it or even like him, I think at least like watching his films, like a bunch of them have been uploaded to YouTube, so you can just watch a bunch of them, and like you'll learn that you don't necessarily have to have a coherent narrative or hell even a camera in order to have a film at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
And it's very, and for myself anyway, it's very inspiring. Very really gets the creative juices flowing.
yeah, yeah. I can see it.
So,
I can especially see it in your Carl Skillen short film.
hmm
I could see the
yeah,
beginning of it influenced by Brakhage.
yeah. That film was partially the excuse to I had to do some I had to put my own spin on Brackage's style.
Yeah, I can see it.
And then like the whole message of that film, anyways, I don't without spoiling the film, go watch it. I wonder if there's a place to see it somewhere in the video, uh, but uh, I felt like the message I wanted to convey in that film was kind of a celebration of the creative spirit, and pretty much how you should and pretty much how you can emotionally and logically approach the whole idea of criticism, even if you are a screenwriter who writes Adam Sandler as comedies.
Yeah, it was fun talking with you about our criterions and our new additions to our collections.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, glad to have you on again. Anyway, this has been Sessions on Cinema, and